Greetings, geeks. You have accidentally stumbled into low Earth orbit for another episode of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda, and I am here today with the same people you would expect. I got Rob Roseboom.
Yeah, I'm not here by accident.
You didn't fall in with Chris DeBona?
Mm-hmm. No. Hi.
Hello, gentlemen. How was your Friday?
So, you remember that game you played as a kid, Hertz Donut?
Yes.
It's like, hey, you want a Hertz Donut? And they
No.
go, sure. And you go, wham! Right
don't.
in the arm. And you say, Hertz Donut.
Yep.
Right? That's how I feel right now.
Oh, hurts, don't it?
Yeah, it's the rest of my body's okay, but where I got the shot, it's like, frick, you know? That's all.
Oh, more enthusiasm. Sure, Steiny. All right.
Oh, we getting bitching from the peanut gallery?
Yeah, because I'm awake today. I'm like riled up.
Oh, okay.
Because we were laughing before I pressed stream.
Yeah, right.
All right, so
Steiny.
there's been a couple of stories around robots.txt lately, and I just wanted to bitch about this one in particular because it made me just so freaking angry because a while back...
Why did it make you angry? So
Well,
this is the
okay,
Centers
so-
for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
you know, this link might actually not be the right link for the story. I can dig up the right link, but it was... they legislated a while back that hospitals have to put the prices of their services on their websites.
Very exciting.
And then they immediately added robots.txt exclusions for all of their prices. So technically, they have fulfilled the law. But also, the person who made that conscious decision to do that should die in a fire. Like, that's just a garbage thing to do.
And then they shouldn't be given medical services, you know, where they know the prices.
Or they should be what's the term for the thing where they bring you into one network and then they switch you into a doctor from a different network in the same hospital without telling you, and then it's not covered by your insurance? There's a word for it.
Debridement? Grafting?
Shitty.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah,
yes.
awful. Yeah. For sure.
Rip off. Yeah.
Anyway, I was just thinking a lot about this because I remember when robots.txt was a new thing. And we were like, man, we have to maintain the robots.txt file. And you had to, because if you didn't, then the search engine would come along and it would crawl your Perl script and it would hit it 7,000 times in an era when, you know, maybe that represented a significant percentage of your CPU resources. So you had no choice. And in fact, you would have to go even farther by creating cached static copies of your web pages so that the crawlers didn't hit the dynamically generated ones because those were too expensive to do. And it's come all around. A useful and necessary tool is just weaponized for garbage capitalism, and it makes me angry.
Profiteering, I think, is the word you're looking for. Criminal profiteering.
I don't know that we could call it criminal. I don't think it's technically criminal. I just think that if you did that, you don't deserve hugs from your mom anymore.
Done.
Well, she's probably dead. You know?
Or grandmother.
Also probably dead.
Or really system. Anybody. Like, you should just be put in a special island with the salespeople with the 18 charisma.
No, because you would like
the high moldometer scores?
Yes. No, the low moldometer scores.
Oh, you want the salespeople with the 6 charisma. That's worse.
The ones who think they're really good, but they're just terrible.
Yeah, that's
awful. Yeah.
Well, we have a joke in our house that we say that the person with the 9, the problem with the person with the 9 charisma is they think they have the 18 charisma. At least at 10, you know you don't have it, but at 9, you think you do.
2010s, the 20s who think the 10s think they're 20s or whatever.
Yeah, no, the 9s think they're 18s in D&D terms. Because 10 is human average and 18 would be, I guess, the greatest ever.
Yeah. I remember.
That's right. All right, so let's see. Higher quality audio makes people sound smarter.
I really should have plugged my compressor in so I could have gone full on this topic.
Right. Now, this is actually just an interesting story. They, had people listen to stuff and then rate the intelligence of the people that were that they were listening to, and unsurprisingly, if you run them through professional quality audio, you sound better than if you are talking to somebody through the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Would you like fries with that order microphone that I had to like listen to yesterday and like ask the poor person to repeat it like 3 times because it's like a 4 kilohertz speaker. I'm sure that person was very smart, but through that speaker, you do not sound it.
I have to admit, I'm looking through this and I'm trying to find the actual paper, because if this is the actual paper, it basically reads like a sales text from Yeti.
Totally.
You know? I'm like, yeah, and it's from UCLA, so I'm like, so this guy get in with a crew scholarship or something, you know? And,
probably. I mean, he spoke really well. He had a compressor.
Yeah.
He had a cloud lifter. You just made your window narrower, Chris.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix it. I clicked on a thing and it went.
I know
this
it's a
way
whole
and that
thing,
way
man.
And that away, and
Okay.
Yeah. No, honestly, I found this paper really unconvincing. Intellectually, it speaks to us.
Well, it's
right?
like Dunning-Kruger, right? Dunning-Kruger makes so much sense that you don't even like need a paper, but you probably should have one.
Yeah, and like we needed a good excuse to buy more audio gear.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
You know? For sure. And the good folks at UCLA have provided that excuse. But also, I'm like, UCLA?
Time to gooder it up, as smart people would say.
That's right.
Yeah, gotta gooder it.
The wisdomers. All right, so Bitcoin miners, as you are both well aware, the challenge.
This made me want to vomit.
Oh yeah, this is a whole thing, man. The biggest thing with Bitcoin now is trying to perform arbitrage on electricity prices. You have to find the place near the hydroelectric dam or wherever you can find electricity crazy cheap, and that's where you win if you're the Bitcoin miner. Because you can scalp all the GPUs you want, as far as I can tell. But now the thing is that they're buying whole power plants, and unsurprisingly, the power plants that are on the market are the coal-burning ones.
Well, they converted this one to natural gas, so good, but
better.
I mean, that's 100 times better, 1,000 times better when it comes to pollutants, but still,
for the pollutants it produces.
Yeah,
the actual amount of gas that leaks out while you're fracking it, makes it not quite as good.
You got to frack to get oil. We'll get there in a second.
We live in Michigan. Fracking is important to Michigan for some reason.
The thing that kills me about this article is if you read it, they're actually now also not just in possession of this ancient power plant.
Did you see what Steiny says? He says it's there in the Federalist Paper 16 on the hiding of Medicare bills in the robots.txt.
Well, it's in Latin, so it must be all right.
Right. Anything in Latin is fine.
No, but the thing about this story that just kills me is they didn't just buy the coal plant. They also bought the ash pond. And I'm like, that's an enormous liability.
Right.
Like, you think you might be making money from the power plant to Bitcoin conversion ratio, but you're going to be stuck holding the bag with an ash pond. Like,
I don't know, man.
I couldn't wish a better legacy for these people.
I mean, if you're
responsible for this, but they're going to dodge responsibility.
Of course they are.
About responsibility. So.
If you're looking to open up an amusement park, say that highlights Superfund sites, then maybe this is the purchase for you.
Yeah, you can go over and play in the simulated coal mine over to the left, and then if you go over to the right, you can play in the cancer garden.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a fun theme park. I think the story is really weird. I think that this bodes poorly for because that people are just going to go start spinning up decommissioned coal plants because this can't Bitcoin right now, as I say this, is trading at $61,470. So $407. So I mean that can be profitable if you can get your hands on enough GPUs, which I sure can't. But I've been trying.
Infuriating. Yeah. Hold on, I'm looking at New York State super fund sites.
Oh dear God. Anyway, that one made me angry. But it's this is another. I mean, just like robots.txt, these are the unintended consequences of things that you can't really predict. We live in crazy.
I know we've
times.
been predicting this kind of crap for.
Well, that's true.
How long?
But if you would have told me 20 years ago that people would be buying coal plants in order to make pretend money, I don't know that I would have believed you.
So disappointing.
Strange times we live in.
Right? So New Horizons is now 50 AUs from the sun, and it took a picture of the starfield containing Voyager 1, which is not a particularly interesting picture because you can't actually see Voyager 1. You just have to rest confident in the fact that it exists within the frame of the photo. But it is still pretty neat that, these two objects that are 2 of the 5 objects furthest from the sun that we've ever put out there can look at each other and wave.
Wait, oh, sorry.
Oh, you lost it.
I didn't mean to lose.
I understand. I just thought that was a charming little story.
Yeah, I think it is cute. I agree.
So the next one's actually a little weird. The looming software kill switch in the aging.
Well, one thing about New Horizons.
Yeah.
You know how they got the signals back to Earth, right?
Was it radio telescopes?
It was a really big radio telescope.
Man, if only somebody were to get $387 million in order to build a new one in Australia.
Oh, that'd be all right.
Mm-hmm. So it turns out that PlayStation's, and I think this was for the PlayStation 3 specifically, has a thing where it pings a server to check a clock to make sure your clock is synced up. And it's probably doing this for a couple of copyright reasons, but also for like trophy things, like for earning trophies and keeping your times straight. And your games won't launch if you can't ping this clock. And this article here is just talking about how as the PlayStation 3 devices age, their clock batteries eventually die, and they have like a 10-year battery. But since Sony in the last couple of weeks just shut down, they're shutting down the PlayStation Vita, I believe it is, the platform.
Yeah, the PSP, Vita, and the rest. But they're shutting down the online stores. So if you still have a PSP gathering dust in your cabinet, it should still work. Right?
I in fact do, but but the issue here, I guess, is that you now are sitting on a device that you theoretically could own. If you own, I mean, AAA games, it cost $50, back then, and now I suppose probably more. But if you have a stack of PlayStation 3 games, and I do, $50 a pop, that's $1,000 maybe worth of games that suddenly stop being playable, and I don't know what the right thing is to do with this stuff, but I know that video game preservation in general is a very important subject to me, which is why I have 10 gigs of ROMs on a SD card somewhere. This is interesting because now we're getting into a more modern era for video game preservation. Maintaining a ROM for some weird arcade game that was made in 1989 is way different than these modern systems. Think about the effort that went into Warcraft Classic. You don't want to play. I mean, we're not all fools who would squander our time playing WoW Classic, for only a true fool would waste his time playing WoW Classic, and I don't know if he's listening right now. But in terms of video game preservation, you can't maintain Warcraft because it has an online component. Like a generation from now, nobody will have that, and this then extends that problem to everything on the PlayStation 3 platform. I don't know. I worry about that.
I think I saw a response from, I think it was Sony in this case, and let's see, eat a bug. I think that's what they wanted you to do in response. Oh, no, it's get bent, buy a PS5 and spend more money, you idiot.
Yep.
I think that's what it said. So.
I'd buy a PS5, but I don't think you can, because like GPUs, they don't exist.
Buy a PS4, then buy a PS5.
I think I have all the PlayStations.
It's an order, Rob. It's an order.
All right. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I have all the PlayStations except
don't
the 5.
Replace your BIOS
Sony.
battery.
Sony Master.
Don't replace your BIOS battery. Chip or shred it. Come on.
Recycle. You can't recycle batteries.
Eat a bug. Dance. Mm-hmm. Dance, monkey. Dance.
All right. I'm on it.
I'm feeling salty today.
That's all right. We're all kind of a little hyper today. So the FBI apparently...
This is a very interesting story.
This is a crazy story.
It's nuts because the FBI is actually going into people's servers like they're a scammer on YouTube, you know, and fixing them for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're basically like, "Hi, I'm with the FBI. Can I have access to your Exchange server?" And they're like, "Sure, Mr. FBI person, go for it." And then they go in and they hit a button or two, and okay.
Were they actually asking permission? I don't think they're asking permission. I think they're just hacking.
In some cases they are.
I think they're asking for forgiveness, not permission. I think that they've already done thousands of servers, and now the article says they're trying to get a hold of the people, and I'm not sure if it was before or after. Yeah. So this is crazy.
Is a breathtaking story.
It
also should tell you. So Microsoft has one of the most impactful sales cultures in the federal government, right? And so the FBI is like, there are millions of these Exchange servers throughout the Fed. We're gonna fix them whether they like it or not, and then they're gonna go to their commercial partners. So I don't know if they're actually reaching out to non-federal contracting companies, but yeah, I mean, the vast deployments of Exchange is what you should be taking.
But read this article. The FBI is now trying to contact the owners of servers that it has cleaned. It's not asking for permission, Chris. It's just going in and white hat repairing.
They did it. They did it already.
That's crazy.
And they're letting you know as a courtesy.
Yeah.
This is unprecedented, honestly.
It's a crazy story. And I mean, I spent a lot of time thinking about like you read about the networks of hundreds of thousands of owned IPs that can be harvested and weaponized at a flip of a switch. And it's weird to think that there's essentially a game going on between armies, some of them actual state actors, and some of them probably just dudes working for some sort of organized crime, where all they're doing is trying to take control of each other's networks. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's very exciting.
We do live in a science fiction
not as exciting as our lack of gnomes.
We are out of gnomes. We have a problem, guys.
Is this just in Britain? Or is
I was going to say, I don't know if the gnome shortage extends to the United States or if it's just a UK problem.
But it's going to be really...
know, having tried to buy lumber within the last month, that getting lumber is ridiculous and crazy expensive if you can find it.
Yeah.
A sheet of Russian birch plywood is going for $74 here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah,
there's a lot of wood.
Just a treated 2x4 is going for $48.
Yeah.
An OSB, a sheet of OSB is like $48. OSB, trash board. Okay.
You know, Steiny just says this is basically public health for servers, right? For the FBI. It actually, if you think about it, it's kind of interesting that our government has no problem having healthcare, like federalized healthcare for servers when it's, software security.
Yeah, is Steiny from another country? Because he must know that we are not into national health care, right?
Oh, he knows that. Everybody knows that.
I mean, this is America. We just talked about robots.txt for killing people,
right? Well, not killing people, just bankrupting them.
A backwards path,
right? To basically give you plausible deniability so you can steal money from the dying. It's awesome. The most ethical of behaviors. So yeah, apparently the gnomes are stuck in the canal blockage. So guys, I hope you didn't need a gnome.
They have a quote from a guy in Garden Center who said it's been 6 months since they've been able to get a gnome. It's never been a better time for the black market gnome.
Yep.
Yeah.
We should definitely get into that. We can start doing arbitrage on gnomes.
Ian Byrne, assistant manager of the Highfield Garden World in Whitminster, said there had been a massive upswing in the sales of garden gnomes. What's been driving the massive?
I bet people are gardening
at home and they're gardening.
I guess.
Yeah.
They're really cute. I like them.
Sure.
Why are they wearing dunce caps? Is my question. Is that a traditional gnome cap?
Yeah, that's just what lawn gnomes look like. My house is covered. My gardens are filled with these little rust monsters that my wife has been collecting for years and years and years. So I mean, and she would happily have a gnome out there if I acquired one. All right, let's see. Whitest ever paint.
Wait. We have another story. Police appeal over 37 stolen garden gnomes.
Well, that guy's
it's getting dirty out there.
Yep.
You know, it's like we're beginning to feel the pinch.
Yep.
So, an elderly woman has been left gnome alone after the thieves made off 37 of the ornaments.
I see what they did there.
Angus.
I hope that guy was proud. Nobody showed his friends. He's like, hey, read what I wrote. Look at that.
I mean, unless her last name is Hitler, I mean, there's no call for this.
Madoff Schmittler.
Hey, you saw that Madoff died yesterday.
Yeah.
Couldn't happen to a worse person.
What a grandmaster champion. He probably was in on those meetings where they thought, hey, how can we weaponize robots.txt to bankrupt poor, dying, sick people?
I wonder how many gnomes he has in his basement.
He's got like one.
He died in prison, right? Or did they let him go to die?
I'm not sure, but I mean, you don't think he has people who could buy gnomes from him on the outside?
Right.
The outside, bring them in by drone. You know?
He's got shipping containers of GPUs and lawn gnomes stuck in the canal.
Stuck in his prison wallet. Yeah. All
right, so new 98% reflective paint. The article actually talks about how this could be used to combat global warming. That seems optimistic.
They always come up with some story like that. If it's black, it's for the backing of solar panels. If it's, white, it's because it'll reflect the sun and save us all.
You know what?
It's paint.
I have to tell you, I spent, let's say, a decade and a half being an editor of some form. And how many articles have you read where you clearly look at it and it's like, I want to write this story, or more accurately, I have to write this story, but my editor needs me to make it relevant. All right, fine. It's about global warming.
I mean, I like the story. I like that aspect of the paint. I think that's very clever that it's rejecting a certain amount of heat, you know? That's nice, right? We can all agree that's nice, but are we going to be painting roofs with it? Is it,
Well, it's similar to Vanta Black, which is in and of itself not a particularly interesting story. I mean, there's an interesting sciencey component to it at the onset of it. But then the interesting story about the Vanta Black story becomes the copyright stuff going on with that. And so again, like so many things, like they I feel like they tack on the second thing because their editor is like, this isn't good enough to be on our page yet.
We're literally writing a paint drawing.
None more white, gentlemen.
None
more white. You can't make it whiter than this. What's wrong with being
sexy?
This
sound kind of racist.
What's wrong with being sexy?
Yeah. Wait a second. How did this become about sex?
We're quoting Spinal Tap.
Oh, okay.
Or referencing. I was quoting. Rob was referencing.
It's been a while since I've seen that.
How white could it be? None more white.
Let's talk about the future of monkeys.
The future of humanity. I lost my tab. I gotta find my tab back.
They did this.
No humanity without monkeys.
I can't remember what lab it was in California that was the first to make a human pig. I think it was Salk Institute. Anyway, they did this 4 years ago. So the making a animal human embryo isn't necessarily new, although the pig embryo was like 0.001% human. So just a hint of human cells inside the pig embryo.
Steiny made a good joke. He says he can't wait for them to mix Vanta Black and the new whitest white to make the grayest gray.
Yes.
This is the dullest thing I've ever painted.
Oh, so bored. It cures cancer. Tell my editor.
But Rob was...
Go on, Rob. I'm sorry.
So, anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted by Rob Malda...
Sorry. Steiny helped.
I guess you guys decided to change it up today. Now they've created a monkey human embryo. They don't say exactly, at least not in the article I read, exactly what the percentages are, but they let it grow, I think, 6 weeks. And so people are freaking out about it because,
Didn't they? Okay, was it Bush 2 who said that they like in the State of the Union? Didn't he have like a sentence about making that illegal?
Yeah, Bush 2 pushed to make chimeras illegal. And I think he might have actually passed an order withdrawing federal funding to it. I think that's as far as it got, but I'm not 100% sure.
So where was this? This was being done not in the United States?
Well, probably China, right? I mean, they're really good at stuff like this. Let's take a look.
It does kind of disturb me that they refer to it as X-Men style in a Time article. Like, welcome to Time. Things are X-Men style.
Well, that was they're saying they're not trying to make, monkey men. That's what they're saying,
because they're trying to make men monkeys.
Yeah, of the very popular right. X-Men character, Monkey Man.
Monkey Man.
That's right. He's actually
they had a whole show about it.
He's going to be the cameo on Falcon and the Winter Soldier tonight.
Yeah.
Now the Russians did have an experiment where they tried to make. They wanted to make soldiers and laborers that were part man, part ape, and they tried.
I mean, that's what Vlad told them he was doing with
mostly with orangutans for some reason, instead of bonobos, which are the closest to us. But anyway, they did try some of those experiments, but evidently the women who volunteered to carry the embryos could not carry the embryos to term, and they would not implant.
That is so horrifying.
Oh, it is. You know how horrifying it is? That once Stalin heard what was going on, he's like, no way. And when
when you're too much for Stalin,
yep.
Stalin's like, that is a bridge too far for me.
Stalin has a very low score on the baldometer.
Let's put all those scientists into the gulag.
Oh. But, they also did the experiments with putting 2 heads on dogs, and that led to heart bypass machines and made modern heart surgery possible. So,
well, I mean, the history of the Third Reich with transplants is not glorious, but it's what made transplants possible. So it's like, ugh.
But other than, making human monkey hybrids for some purpose,
Yeah, that's.
They say this is to study the very first parts of human growth, because we don't understand that particularly well. The first bits of development,
like the first few days of embryo development, or
yes, yeah.
I mean, listen, we've talked about the need for animal testing and animal experimentation, and it should be done respectfully and all the rest. But you get into things like, they're like, well, what if we put together, I don't know, a garden gnome and a hippo, right? And it's like, I think that
they're doing that out in El Chapo's backyard.
I'm down, by the way. They
you want this?
Start making hippopotamus garden gnome hybrids. Sign me up.
Hippopotagnomes.
Hippopotagnomes.
I will dig a hole in my backyard and fill it up with water for my hippopotagnome.
This is going to work out fine, I can tell. All right.
I don't care what the HOA says.
What was the name in the DC universe of the guy who merged with the football player to become Firestorm? It was Firestorm,
the
right?
kid.
Because Steiny, I think that Firestorm was a chimera, just for the record.
Oh.
So we do have metahumans who are chimeras.
I mean, it's hard to measure all that, though, too, because it's so complicated with the MCU and all the licensing deals and the comic book world all having different rules.
And let's be clear, the comic book world is actually not real. So this is...
Some of it is.
What?
You guys.
Like the costumes, sometimes those are real.
And sometimes sometimes Spider-Man is in New York City. And New York City is real.
That's a real place. Huh?
I think.
Huh?
I think
it's not just Central City or Starling City or Gotham.
It's not the DC universe
where
we make up all our locations. We go to real places.
You can't say the word Chicago.
Like Madripoor.
At least around here, a lot of those heroes show up for children's parties. At least when we used to have children's parties.
In New York City, they show up and they have their wings out.
Dude.
On Times Square.
Everybody needs a hug from Elmo.
Tickled me.
All right, the last one that I had on the list is that the ArcLight cinemas and the Pacific cinemas are shutting down. There was an ArcLight when I lived in DC, and I went to the ArcLight, 100 times.
Did the Uptown, was that owned by ArcLight?
No, the Uptown for me was a special occasion movie theater because parking around there was a nightmare, and so you had to take and there's no subway stop in that town, so it was. Or was there? I can't remember. It was
what? There's a Cleveland Park subway stop.
Okay, maybe it was a horrible hassle for me to get to that particular. So I only saw like maybe a half a dozen movies at the Uptown, but that was an awesome theater.
Yeah, from where you were, you would have had to have gone to like Metro Center and then switch over to get to the Uptown.
It was a mess to get there, but the ArcLight was a better theater.
Thank you, Magnum.
There you go. The ArcLight was a better theater from a practical theater perspective, merely because they had a full bar, and it was in a mall. So parking was easy.
This is killing me. I went to multiple, premieres at this particular the Cinerama. Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, it's. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be.
This is to be expected, though, right?
Oh,
I'm actually surprised more big chains haven't folded already. I'm sure more will.
Yeah.
Because all these people are scrambling for money, trying to think of nice ways to keep their business open, and it's just not happening.
I mean, and also this is downtown LA, right? You can't just have that much space in downtown LA not be used for a year and a quarter.
Yeah.
It's just too much money. This isn't the suburbs. This is like, this is front and center. And the thing is, you see this and you're like, oh, this is a dome. What's the big deal? The dome's just the lobby. Right, there's like enormous theaters, to the left and to the right and behind it, where they have these events. It's like it's crazy. It's like 7 stories tall.
Sure, but this is their whole chain. They had hundreds of theaters. Yeah. I think that what's going to eventually happen is either Amazon, Netflix, or one of the streaming services, Disney, is just going to fund them or buy them, some sort of deal, and we're going to end up having Amazon Prime movie theaters or something.
Well, we talked about that possibility way back when.
Yep. I'm not opposed to it. I was thinking about this right now. I'm watching The Crown, and if you told me that a movie theater was doing a marathon of The Crown right now, I'd go see that. And there's probably a lot of shows that I'd binge watch 4 episodes in a movie theater with my big soda and popcorn. It'd be fun. But
yeah, no, it's very Disney-like. Here, look at this. So here's that dome, right?
Epcot.
And then you have these, like, this is the actual theater complex and the parking is here. So it's just like enormous, right? So, basically they own this entire block for this theater. It's like
Spaceship Earth, man.
That is not cheap,
No, and the employment costs, the real estate costs, it's the worst industry. Now, I think I am technically fully vaccinated in 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Hey, all right, mazel tov.
Yeah, so I tell you, on that day, I actually looked to see what would be in the theater on the day, and there's nothing that I want to see. God damn it, they moved Black Widow.
Not much.
Yeah. Godzilla's in the theaters right now, and I would totally go see Godzilla on the IMAX right now if I could.
Why do you only talk about Godzilla? Why do you ignore King Kong?
That's a good question. Am I racist against King Kong?
I think you
He's
are.
Racist against apes.
I mean, look at how he treated the monkey-human chimera story.
Yeah, I immediately focused on the human part and not the monkey part.
It's like you don't care.
That's true.
There were a couple other posts in the channel.
What do we got? Load them up. I grabbed as much as I could, but there was a lot.
So there's Boba's shortage. Here, let me load that up.
Is this the mushrooms? Oh, the bubble tea. All right,
First of all, suggesting that people have cheese instead of bubble tea, I'm like, these people don't understand. They don't understand, you know? And then there was a Yugo training video, which it's okay. It's hard to watch, though, because it's like, you know, so. And then I linked a mushroom story because it's fun.
I'm getting the mushroom story too.
Yeah, the Yugo training video tickled my heart because my mom owned a Yugo.
She did?
And
wow.
I loved to drive that car. If I sat the seat up as straight as I could and sat up straight, I could drive with like my nose and eyes out of the sunroof, and I could drive my head out of the car down the road, which I enjoyed immensely as a teenager.
Industrial mushrooms.
Yeah, so basically there's this wacky
An economical new car.
Go forward just a little bit.
Assisted front disc and rear drum brakes. 60 miles per hour to 0 can be accomplished in 168 feet.
You know, I have to tell you, I don't trust anything that man has to say because of the quality of his audio.
That's true.
Yeah, right? This is the thing about the 80s. No one trustworthy was allowed.
One of the best parts of this selling video is because this is a video for salesmen, and they're like, one of the highlights is there's no computer parts to go bad inside a Yugo.
Totally immune from the 2022 chip shortage.
If there's ever an EMP blast, your Yugo will continue down the road.
Because remember, with a Yugo, you go anywhere you want. I love this layers of rust protection when in fact it's just like the rustiest car that ever shipped, you know. It came pre-rusted.
Pre-rusted. I like that.
All right, these happy Eastern Russian workers.
Too. That's right. They're just happy that they're not over at the next secret town over where they're actually being used to make monkey men.
Yeah, right. You know. How do we know these aren't monkey men themselves?
Look at the way it handles down that road.
Clearly a monkey is driving that car. That's a Chimera mobile.
I like how it gets really close to the camera. You know that cameraman died. Can I just point out, these actually look like they're off kilter, don't they? Like they're not the same. You know, I'm like, could you have made your show car like at least nice? But
well, this was a car that retailed for, was it $6,000?
Yeah, it was really cheap. It was like $59.99, you know?
Yeah.
And this was at a time when most cars were selling for 13 grand or more, you know? So no.
So what you're saying is we should get a bunch of these and then just play Crash Up Derby with them.
It was way more zippier than I thought it would be. It had no top end, but it was pretty fast. Like you could burn the tires easy.
Really?
From a standstill.
Because it had no differentials.
And everything inside of it was just like hard and unsafe. I remember the dashboard was just brittle, you know. You would just
it had spikes on it in case you hit it.
It was a mess.
Wow. Yeah, Doug DeMuro did a video about the Yugo, and he's just like, this car is everything you ever expected it to be. You know.
I do think that we should figure out a way to just get giant plastic cars so we can do smash up derbies with like Tupperware cars.
What, like 80s era Corvettes? Anyway, you know who brought the Yugo to America though?
Was it a Chimera?
No, Malcolm Bricklin, who would go on to form Bricklin and DeLorean.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was like the design chief. He was like, he found these wacky cars and he would bring them to America and Canada.
And then let his boss snort up all the profits up in coke.
Well, that was the old joke about the DeLoreans, right? You know, 4 on the floor and a kilo in the trunk. You know, but, yeah.
Indeed. All right, I'm gonna press the goodbye button. Thanks for hanging out, Chris DeBona.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
And Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye.
This has been a very feisty episode 604 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malden. We'll see you Tuesday.